Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to be sharing a controversial opinion, but before you judge, before you say I'm talking crazy, just give me a chance, right? Because what I'm going to be talking about is why I believe Amber Heard is an example of why women are struggling to get men or feel like they can't get a man. She is an example of so many things that I've noticed that make it difficult for a lot of men to want to be in relationships, and I'm going to be talking about that. And I want to start first and foremost by addressing the things that Johnny did wrong in the relationship. And the reason why I want to start there is because a lot of people have been trying to focus on that, especially all the narc minions of Amber Heard coming in like, Johnny wasn't perfect, Johnny wasn't exactly an angel, blah blah blah, whatever you're saying, right? This, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, is why I believe so many men nowadays are becoming more and more skeptical of being in a relationship. Because when I feel that when a man does certain things in a relationship, specifically when it comes down to like domestic violence, etc., it'll always be considered more extreme, unfortunately, but in society, than a woman doing it. And so in a situation, if man and woman are having an argument, because this is what we got to be real about, guys, and this is why people who are nitpicking at Johnny's actions, I'm like, listen, people are human beings. If you're having an argument and people are getting upset and there's shouting and stuff going on, I think a man has to focus a lot more on not retaliating in any way, which is a natural response. Think about times whenever you guys get angry. I'm not saying you go straight to want to hit somebody, but you might instantly start to raise your voice. You might instantly feel like doing something physical. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that men are more at risk of that stuff. And so if you're the type of woman like Amber, who was, in my opinion, very much the type who would like try and provoke him, like she seems very provocative in that sense of like them arguing, her telling him, like there was even that clip where she was like, that bit where she said, go to the couch, or whatever, and like she was shouting at him, and just being a tyrant basically, right? When these heated situations are going on, I feel that, and this is my perspective as a woman, I'm speaking on it because I think sometimes I feel like in society today, a lot of men don't really say what they really think and feel because they don't feel that they can. It's very difficult for men to be honest in society today, in the Western world. If I give you guys my honest opinion, that's just my opinion. So I'm speaking on the perspective as a woman and kind of observing it from my side, and also my experience in like these types of things in relationships and stuff, because it has made me realize that it's like what Amber said. Think about what Amber said, and I think this is the fear of a lot of men. She said, you go and try and see if people believe you, like with this domestic violence case. Watch me go and like, I think she said something like, watch me go and accuse you and everyone's gonna believe me. And women know that. Like, I as a woman, I know that if I wanted to, any relationship that I've been in, chances are I could convince the public and even potentially somebody else that I have experienced, and that whoever I was with was, abusing me, was being violent, right? A lot more easily potentially than they could. And that's why I think we as women have to do better, and we have to do more to take accountability for our actions and not to abuse the advantages that we have. Because there's so much talk about, women's rights and all the things that women need, which a lot of them needs to be there. There were a lot of things us women weren't getting that needed to be fixed and changed, right? But let's be realistic. There are also advantages to being a woman. There are also certain things that we get to do that that are different than what the men are able to do. And this is one of those things, and I think a lot of men are fearful of that in a relationship, especially in a marriage. Because think about it like this, like relationships, and especially marriage, we won't talk about relationships because I don't believe in boyfriend girlfriend relationships. That's a conversation for another day. But let's talk about marriage, right? If you're married to somebody, you are going to, this is like what I always say to people, it's like the most intimate thing, but you're two different people, right? Like the Bible says, two become one flesh, right? You're two different people. You two different people think very differently, feel very differently, do things differently, process information differently, articulate yourself differently, react differently, respond differently, etc., right? So, and given that, and the fact that you're going to be around each other so much and in such and being so intimate as well with each other, and we're talking about all types of intimacy here, there is a high likelihood that things are going to get to a heated level now and then, right? And obviously you have to be responsible for yourself to know what you need to do. Like some people, for example, they know that if there's like an argument starting, the best thing for them to do is to come back to it later, and they might say, you know what, I don't want to get angry, I don't want you to get angry, can we both maybe take a break and come back and talk about this in an hour. Some people it's better for them to do that. Some people it's not better for them to do that. You know, some people feel more comfortable, you know, different people put in different boundaries and things, you know, to be able to protect themselves. So, you know, that's something you work on, but let's not pretend that in a relationship you're not going to get into arguments. And a lot of the things that people were judging Johnny Depp for doing, like using foul language and stuff like that, I personally think if you actually saw how a lot of couples argued, you'd find a lot of these things happening. Now, here's the thing with that. If this is involving a man, they are a lot more likely to have a lot more issues as a result. So if a man is seeing that you're the type of person who maybe is argumentative, because a lot of this independent woman stuff that we do now, it's very like aggressive. Because to me, do I believe in being an independent woman? I do, to the extent, to an extent, as in I believe God has a purpose for everybody and a reason why we're all on this earth. And you know, your purpose doesn't just have to be being a mother or being a wife, right? I believe God has given us all different gifts, talents, skills, intelligences for different things, right? So to that extent, yes. And I think that even the Proverbs 31 woman in the Bible, people miss this, but she's a working woman. She's a working lady, you know? She got her own businesses going on. Go and read it for yourself and you'll see that. So I do believe in that to an extent, but where I feel like in society today, we get to the place where we as women become very aggressive and masculine, right? We become very aggressive and very masculine, and then it's almost like if a man is seeing that in you, then all he's seeing is the potential for you to really come at him with that masculine energy. And if you're all high on girl power, right, drunk off of women empowerment, then you might feel you have the right to assert yourself in a certain way. But here's the other thing that I believe, that men are built to be prepared for, you know, to fight. You know, that's why I think God made women to be naturally more feminine, more gentle, because where I think for a lot of men, when they feel like they're being attacked, it's literally like how it is with the animals in society, in the world, right? If you start seeing animals, if an animal sees another animal being aggressive, that brings out, especially the male animals, you know, they'll become aggressive. They're like, well, I'm gonna fight back, or I'm gonna protect my people, I'm gonna whatever. So that's why it's important for us as women to balance that out that's why when we come from a feminine place, right, then they know that they don't need to put their guard up. They can put their guard down, and we can have a conversation, you know. And amongst that, you might get a bit angry as you know, as either on either side, right? I'm not saying that everybody's supposed to get everything perfect, but I'm just saying we've got to be realistic about what we're dealing with. And I think a lot of times, a lot of women nowadays look like the type of women that would potentially in a situation, because this is the other thing, right? Women empowerment people, let's talk about this. I'm so glad I just thought of this. Praise the Lord, right? Let's talk about this. Let's say you're in you want the same rights as men, right? We want all the exact same rights as men, which, like I said, I'm not saying that I'm for removing women's rights, but some of the things are just very illogical, because it's like what a lot of guys say. Okay, so you want to be a man, so do you want to fight like a man? So does that mean how a lot of guys would say they would never hit a woman? Do you want to remove that then? Because that's treating you differently as a woman. So do you want them to just, so in a way, should we then open the door to allow that to happen then? Because all we want is to have the exact same rights on everything, right? That doesn't make any sense, and you wouldn't want to do that, right? And that's why I'm saying that we have to be very careful as women, and why I think a lot of women are struggling to get a man. And women will be like, yeah, I've got it all together, you know, I look after myself, I look good, I work out, I eat well, I've got my own house, I've got whatever. It's like, yeah, but what about your character? What about your personality? Are you the type of person who is quick to start shouting and defending yourself? And a lot of us women, and don't get me wrong, I want to acknowledge this as well, because in case anybody's feeling away or feeling upset, I know that a lot of us have been through things that make us defensive, and that's on both sides of men and women. That's why it's sad for us to be at odds, because a lot of the struggles we have them in different ways, but we can understand from the perspective that we come from, right? A lot of us have been through things that make us be defensive, or want to protect ourselves, or want to come across in a certain way. That's why I believe a lot of women are so obsessed with being independent, you know, because a lot of women maybe didn't even necessarily grow up with their father. They grew up seeing their mother struggle, and they're like, I ain't never going to struggle myself, and I'm not about to rely on a man because of what I went through, which obviously it's not bad to make some changes in order to feel more protected, you know, in that sense. But then it's also too far to go to the point where you're so independent, you're so masculine now, that you have become the man, and you've basically just become a different version of what you experienced. And I think a lot of women don't know how to actually welcome a man into their space in a relationship in the way that they want him to be. Because you hear women, a lot of women, I'm one of the women who says this, that I want to be with a masculine man, right? And there are plenty of great masculine men out there. I just like to throw that out there, because we like to talk a lot about the negative. So let's just throw the positives out there, right? Just like there's a lot of, feminine, independent women out there, right? But, we talk a lot about wanting a masculine man, but if you're already on that level, then why would he want to be with you? Because he's not seeing he's not seeing a partnership here. You already want to run the ship. And I think you put off, what you end up actually doing is you open the door more for the types of men you open the door more for the types of men who are weaker men or who are feminine men, and then you end up actually continuing that process, the generational curse, you can even call it if you want, of you ending up as the woman who does everything and the man who you call a deadbeat, because you haven't opened the door to attract the right type of guy, right? And I think that's what happens with people like Amber Heard. A lot of men ended it with her and didn't end up continuing on with her. I think she represents what a lot of men are scared of, because they see those types of characteristics, the way that she was behaving, the way that she was acting. Those are the types of things that a lot of women, I feel, today are showing as red flags of what they could become. Given all of this Me Too movement, believe all women, I realized, I was like, wait, forget believe all women and men. Believe everybody, and children. Believe everybody, because what happened with Johnny, poor dude, he was the actual victim here. And there's no shame in that, by the way. I don't think there's any shame in that. Just to throw that out there, there's no shame in that. But we should believe everybody. Why believe all women? Why not believe all men as well, right? Because to be honest, I way less hear men coming out about things anyway, and I wish they did. And I understand why they don't, though. And this is why. I actually understand why they don't. Because even Amber was the one throwing it in his face, like, as if to say, like, there's no way you're gonna get justice for yourself, mate. Who's gonna believe you? That's kind of like the attitude that she kind of had, and it's very sad and it's very unfair. And I just wanted to talk about this in this video, to kind of throw this idea out there to the women. Like, I get why we're and also to say something, not on behalf of the men, because I'm not a man, I can't speak on behalf of men, but I can give my perspective, from my opinion. And I see so many people talking about, relationships. There's so many issues between us as men and women today. So many people are struggling to get into relationships. Sometimes you don't have everything. Like, I think a lot of the things that are needed for a relationship are not necessarily the things that you think they are. Like, that's why you find a lot of men and I've seen many examples of men who be with a woman who is broke, who is not going anywhere specifically in life at that time. But who's open-minded, because she's open-minded, she's willing to work, she's willing to help, and then they end up becoming really successful as a couple because of her attitude, because of her character, as opposed to the fact that, oh, I've got everything ticked off the box, but is your character in check? Are you showing red flags that you could become an Amber Heard one day and just be using somebody, because think about it, with Amber Heard, she's very much an independent woman herself. She had her own career, she had what she was doing. And so again, with that, and even with that, the other thing to say is that we need to throw out this whole thing as women of like, oh, we don't need a man, because, well, then why does he need you? If you don't need him, then why does he need you? So stop saying you don't need a man. Just be prepared. I'm going to go ahead and say I do need a man in my life. I do need a man in my life. I don't want to be independent. I don't want to. I'm happy being independent until that day comes, but I don't want to be independent the whole time. Why not have somebody who wants to protect you? Why not have somebody to do life with? Why not have somebody to collaborate with? And why not be under somebody's leadership? What's wrong with that? I just don't really understand it. And I think that when you become these very like aggressive masculine type vibes of like the Amber Heard type thing, and masculine and feminine, to me, I'm realizing more and more, it's a lot more about more about how somebody behaves as opposed to how that person looks. Because I think people look at somebody, and I mean, there is obviously looking masculine and looking feminine, there's that part of it, but I think we forget the character element about that as well, that there is a way that you behave, and there's a lot of women, a lot of very beautiful feminine looking women who are very masculine, who are very aggressive, and I think they're the ones setting themselves up for not having a man, because then it's like a man's looking at you like, well, you look like you would fight me, you look like you would be, because even and I say this to people all the time, like, whatever you do, the way you present yourself, you don't know how that information is being translated to the person you're watching. And this is one of the reasons I love to watch male podcasts and stuff like that. I watch loads of male in fact, almost all the podcasts I watch are fully male podcasts, because it's interesting to hear how you know men think, and men think very differently to women. When I hear what they have to say about something, I'm like, what? Like, you know what I mean? But I say that to say, it tells you that when somebody is showing me that, oh, some of the things we do as women, we think it's having this effect, but it's having that effect, you know, instead. And we don't understand how that's happening. And that's why I've got to be careful about what we do online. So, for example, if a guy is seeing you always, like, you know, in people's comment sections, calling people out, always being argumentative, he's going to be like, okay, so this is what she going to be like in the relationship. I ain't interested. Now, you might not always be like that, right? But people are observing, especially in this day and age where people are dating online, people are meeting each other on Instagram, people are downloading dating apps. People are assessing you by what you're doing online as well. So I think a lot of women underestimate it, because we as women tend to be louder on the internet, but men are very much on the internet. Like, they're there, they're watching videos, they just don't comment as much. They just don't comment as much. And stuff like that, but they're there and they're watching and they're looking and they're taking in information, you know. And so I think a lot of us women can shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes with how we present ourselves, you know, online. And that was something even the Lord was talking to me about. He was like, you know, about like just how, you know, you better present yourself online like in the version that you would want the person you want to be with to see. And think about how that would make that person feel, or think about you if they would want to be with you. What type of person do you attract? You know, and that's how I think a lot of people end up attracting the wrong person, because you're there being argumentative in somebody in every single comment section, calling everybody out on their name and everything, and then you end up attracting a guy who's doing the same thing, and then you guys wonder why you end up in arguments. And that's because the peaceful dude who actually thought you were kind of attractive, liked what you did, was interested in getting to know you, was like, I'm not trying to get into any arguments with her. Or they see you sharing Amber Heard stuff in support of her. They're thinking, well, if you're in support of her, then that looks like Johnny's destiny is looking like my destiny, and I'm not trying to jump onto that sinking ship anytime soon, because that's only going to benefit her, you know. And so yeah, I just wanted to highlight that because it's just something I was thinking about. Sorry, I'm just double checking here. Yeah, and even this, look, I specifically wrote down like what Johnny was saying. He was like, he said being able to, he was talking about how it would be hard for anybody in the long term to like be able to sustain being demeaned, berated, and judged. He's talking about this from a woman. I was like, this does not sound like feminine behavior at all. Demeaned, berated, and judged. And this is one thing that I've heard, you know, that women want to be loved and men want to be respected. I really believe that's so true. That's one of the reasons I think a lot of us women today do not understand that you being disrespectful is a big deal. It's a very, very big deal. In the same way that you might want your partner to tell you all the time that he loves you and make you feel loved, he wants to feel respected. I feel like I can say that because I've heard enough people say that before, particularly men, of course. And he said that she treated him like a lesser animal, being treated like a lesser animal. And this is another thing that I want to just highlight as I close off this video. I do not believe that men generally perform the best until they are able to be treated in the position that God called for them to be. You know, they shine in that area. Well, you know, like it's like you being qualified for a job. You're not going to shine in a job that you're not qualified for. You shine in the job that you're qualified for. And thus, you treating a man like lesser, you being demeaning him, berating him, or whatever, that's not going to make him shine. That's going to make him shrink back. You allowing him to lead, you allowing him to be in the front, you know, being more feminine, you allowing him to be masculine, that's when he's going to actually shine. And I do think a lot of men out there today, in my opinion, the reason why they don't step up, you know, in some of the homes, in some of their marriages, in some of their families, is because they are not even being allowed. They've got another masculine force that they're battling, and it's like, whoa, I thought I was supposed to be the man around here. Do you know what I mean? And then they're not getting the opportunity to shine in the position that God called for them to be, you know. And I think it's actually a beautiful thing. You know, people talk about this whole husbands love your wives, like wives submit to your husbands, but they don't talk about the part where it says, and husbands love your wives like Christ loved the church. Like, Christ died for the church. Do you realize how cool it is to be a woman? Like, I think about this so much. Like, it's actually such a blessing to be a woman, because when you have a man of God, when you have a man as your husband, right, then that man his direction is to love you like how Jesus loved the church. That's his instruction. Your instruction is to submit to him. Now, you submitting to him, that's going to bring him happiness, because he will like that. He'll respond well to that. him loving you like Jesus loved the church is going to make you happy. It's like, oh, look at that. Maybe God knew what he was talking about. Do you see what I mean? But obviously, in the Amber Heard sense, I'm just using her as an example for us that we can all look at and we can talk about for the points that I really wanted to make. In her case, she's the type of woman that is making, I feel like is making a lot of men go, and this is why I'm not with this type of woman, this woman who does this, woman who does that, because they don't want to end up with that, right? And I don't think she's trying to change anyway. She looks like she's very happy going around being the Jezebel that she is. But we can use her reaction and how she's responded, especially looking at Johnny, like, and the way that this man is, the way that so many other women were to jumping into his defense, you know. We can look at that and we can see how sad it is and how we can, it is a two-way street. Does it take, when people say it takes two to tango, yes, it takes two to tango. So you've got to be prepared to tango. You've got to be prepared to tango. Do you know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to dancing and these kinds of dances, there is like the not the male and the female part, but there's like the one who leads and the one who kind of follows. If you're both trying to lead, you're not going to be able to dance together. Do you know what I mean? If you're both being like aggressive about it, you're pushing aggressively in this direction and you're pushing aggressively in this direction, you know, butting heads. And that's what I think happens a lot of the time. And I think that's what a lot of men are fearful, or not, I don't want to say fearful of, or trying to avoid, because they're like, I ain't trying to do that. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to dance with you. You know what I mean? And then we go this way. And it doesn't mean that you don't have an opinion. I always say all these disclaimers because I know there's a lot of mess. A lot of people have misused, you know, mistreated women. A lot of people have taken a lot of these things out of context. A lot of people have even treated the Bible on these types of subjects. So I'm just saying all this extra stuff, like, just to clarify that it's not that women's viewpoint doesn't matter. In fact, I even said in one of my previous videos, why do you think the snake went for Eve? Because Eve has the ear of her husband, because Adam listens to Eve. Adam listened to Eve. God gave the direction to Adam before Eve was even created. Go and read the story for yourself. God gave the direction to Adam before Eve was even created, and Adam still listened to his wife. This is the power that the woman has, and I think that's why a lot of men are going to be careful, because they don't want to be led astray, because they are actually going to listen to you. See how that works? Anyway, guys, I think you get the gist of what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have enjoyed this video, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'll be so grateful. So grateful. Also, don't forget to hit the like button as well if you did enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts regardless, guys. Please, let's be people that can actually talk from a place of like open-mindedness and logic and respect, as opposed to just getting really upset because somebody says something that we disagree with. Let's throw that out the window. That's very immature. Also, if that's how you are, might be another reason you haven't found the man you're looking for. Oh my days. And or man or woman, you know, because that's, again, red flag. Let's be respectful. Let's practice. I feel like, guys, you should be using my comment sections as an opportunity to practice going back and forth. And it happens to me all the time, and I love it. Like, somebody will comment something I don't like, but I disagree with, or they disagree with me, but they say it very respectfully, and we go back and forth, and at the end, we're usually like, oh, have a lovely day. Thank you so much. That was nice. Oh, wow. Or there's apologies. I had this happen in one of my videos. Like yesterday, I was going back and forth with somebody, but we're speaking respectfully. We disagreed. And then in the end, they were like apologizing. They apologized twice, actually, which was pretty crazy. And that's what I feel like we need to normalize more in society, and especially for us as women. I'll tell you this now, yeah. We need to be very careful. What we think is going on in the male department up there, and for men, and what's actually going on, very different from what we think. That's what I'm learning. I'm learning it more and more. And I always say this: the biggest mystery to a woman in life will always be the man, and the biggest mystery in life to the man will always be the woman. We are so different, and we have to be open to understanding how the other person thinks, researching the other person. That's why I started watching all these male podcasts, because like, well, I need to open my mind to a different type of understanding. A lot of women out there nowadays listen to all their girlfriends. Like, your girlfriend are telling you advice about what makes a man happy. Is your girlfriend even married for herself? Is your girlfriend a man? And I see it happen all the time, women giving bad advice to other women. And I'm like, for flip's sake, guys, this is not helping. You know, but it goes vice versa, because there are a lot of situations also in relationships where, you know, men are not understanding how women are, and that some things they might get annoyed about a woman. That's how a woman is. So rather than be annoyed about it, learn how to harness it, learn how to pivot that thing, because when you understand it, then you can work with it. And that's how it works on both sides. And when we're both able to do that, when we focus on improving ourselves whilst trying to learn and understand the type of person we would want to be with, if we both do that, guess what? It's going to work. It's going to be a beautiful marriage. Everybody's going to be happy. And that's the intention I believe the Lord had in the beginning. Anyway, don't be an Amber Heard. Saying all of that, still talking, even though I said I was going to end the video. That's what I've got to say. So God bless every single one of you, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.